I want you to turn around and see what I see. There is so much beautiful humanity in this room tonight, Virginia. And we are going to, I love you too. We are going to make history in 2020. You can see it. I just came back from Iowa. How many of you saw the Iowa speech? Oh, that was so much fun. You go out, there's a smoke machine. I need to buy one of those. But we came out of there, and then the best part, in addition to the journalist saying to the team on the side, it's like, I'm not allowed to say this, but your man gave the speech of the night. But the best part is we leave that night and we campaign in Iowa the next day, and the crowds are bigger, the energy's higher, and at every stop, people were like, I saw you on Friday night and I had to come find you. So we just touched down here in Virginia because you all are about to pick up the baton. You got this incredibly important election day tomorrow. And Virginia's on the precipice. Virginia is going very, very purple. And with just a bit of a push, I think Virginia's gonna go blue. What do you think? It's gonna go deep, Navy, math, yang gang, blue. I want to give a shout out to Dylan, who was on the stage and is recovering. He's right there and he's doing great. Let's give Dylan a round of applause. I also want to give a hand to Maddock, AJ, Steve, and the rest of the incredible activists and leaders of the Yang Gang here in Virginia that have brought us together. As well as the George Mason Democrats. But it is their passionate leadership that is going to make tomorrow a huge day for the campaign in the Yang Gang. Really all for you. I want to get a sense of this. How many of you all are actually GMU students? I'm going to get a sense. Wow, I have done the math. It seems like about 40% of you are GMU students. It seems like a lot of you have seen me speak in some context before, watched a YouTube video. Raise your hand if you've seen me speak before in some context. The rest of you didn't have your hands up. You're what I call Yang curious. Then jump on in, the water's fine. So I'm going to go through what got me into the race in the first place. Most of you know this about me. I was certainly not someone who was brought up to think I was ever going to run for president. No, that was not the conversation in the Yang household. And I have the fashion choices to prove it. Now, like so many of you who are students here, I was told my job was to try and do well in school. And I get the sense that many of you are like me, either first or second generation born in this country. Like, raise your hand or rock your bell. A lot of people here. So I know, particularly for people whose families are relatively new to the country, it's like get good grades, make your way, get credentialed. And so I tried to do that. I went to law school. Some of you I can sense are going to go to law school. I'm not sure if that's applause-worthy, honestly. Spent 5 unhappy months as a corporate lawyer, and then I left to try and start a business. And I'll tell you, starting a business is the hardest thing you ever have to do. It's up there with having a kid. Those two are the hardest things I've ever done. Running for president's probably up there too, somewhere in there. Though I gotta say, running for president is getting easier and easier because we're gonna win this whole thing. So I started a business, had failure, and then some success. And in 2009, I was shaken by the financial crisis and what was transpiring around the country. And I thought I had some insight as to why this had happened. Virginia. I thought that so many of the wannabe whiz kids I'd gone to college and law school with had gone to Wall Street and dreamt up these exotic financial instruments that had crashed the economy. And I said, wow, what a disaster. What a train wreck. And so the question is, what the heck can you do that's better than that? And I said, well, I think I know of something. I would love for people to head to places like Detroit and Cleveland and Birmingham and Baltimore and St. Louis and start businesses and do something productive that people would be excited about, that you'd be excited about. Because right now we're pushing you in certain directions and not others. So I spent 7 years traveling the country as the head of a nonprofit I'd started, Venture for America. Got honored by the Obama administration, so I got to meet the president a couple of times. And I was blown away by the disparities between some parts of this country and others. I have the sense that many of you are students here, many of you probably grew up in this part of the country. How many of you all grew up in the Midwest? Yeah! How about the South? Yeah! West Coast? DC metro area? I thought so. And then northeast like me? So I spent 7 years working in the Midwest and the South, and I was staggered by the gulf between Michigan and Manhattan, or St. Louis and San Francisco. Where you make that trip, you feel like you're crossing dimensions or decades or ways of life, and not just a few time zones. But I was still stunned when Donald Trump became our president in 2016. And to me, this was a giant red flag. If you watched cable news, why would you think Donald Trump's our president today? Russia, racism, Facebook, the FBI, Hillary Clinton, emails, all mashed together into some kind of bizarre stew. That is what's being sold to you on cable news. But I'm a numbers guy, Virginia. I did the math. Donald Trump won is that we automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs that were in Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Missouri, Wisconsin, and Iowa, where I just left. And when a factory closes, blue goes to red in an awful hurry. There's a straight line up between the adoption of industrial automation in a voting area and the movement to Trump. And unfortunately, we're not going to stop there. How many of you have noticed stores and malls closing in your hometowns and where you live? And why are those stores closing? That's right, Amazon soaking up $20 billion in business every single year. They do it like this too. They make their hand into a claw like this. Apparently, if you do this for a little while, you get $20 billion a year. How much did Amazon pay in federal taxes last year? That's right, that's the brutal math, Virginia. 20 billion out. 20 billion out, zero back. The average retail clerk whose store and mall is closing is a 39-year-old woman making between $9 and $10 an hour. What is her next move when the store closes, when the mall closes? When you all call the customer service line of a big company, you do the same thing I do, which is what? You dial 000, human, say representative, until you get someone on the line. Raise your hand if that's what you do. Oh yeah, we all do it. Because that software is miserable. You're like, oh, they gave me a human. But in 2 or 3 short years, the software is going to sound like this. Hey Andrew, how's it going? What can I do for you? It'll be seamless, efficient, a little bit sexy perhaps. What is that going to mean for the 2.5 million Americans who work in call centers right now making $14 an hour? How many of you have seen a self-serve kiosk in a fast food restaurant at McDonald's? They're going to be in every location in the United States by 2021 in McDonald's, and the other chains are going to follow suit. It's going to start at the front of the house and move to the back of the house. Being in food service or food prep is the 3rd most common job in our country. Most common job in 29 states is driving a truck. How many of you all know a truck driver?
I know Fred.
They know Fred. For those who don't know, Fred's a truck driver who let me ride in his truck, and now he has my face on his truck. And it's something like, 50 feet long and 30 feet high, and it's like, whoa. First time I saw it was quite a sight. Fred is excited about the campaign because he realizes that We're in the process of trying to automate his job and the jobs of the 3.5 million truckers in this country. My friends in California are working on self-driving trucks right now. They tell me they are 98% of the way there. And the way they think they can get the last 2% is by equipping the trucks with 5G-enabled teleoperating equipment, where when the truck's not sure what to do, a human operator will beam in from Nevada or Arizona and drive it like a video game. That's how they think they can get the last 2%. $168 billion a year, Virginia, is what's at stake. That's enough money to do incredible things. That's why some of my friends, some of the smartest people in the country are working on it right now. What's that gonna mean for Fred and the 3.5 million truckers in this country, or the 7 million Americans who work in truck stops, motels, and diners that rely upon the truck stopping every day? The Democrats are acting like Donald Trump is the source of all of our problems. He is not. He is a symptom. He's a manifestation of the fact that we're going through the greatest economic transformation in our country's history, what experts are calling the fourth industrial revolution. When is the last time you heard a politician even say the words fourth industrial revolution? Yeah! Just now. And I am barely a politician. We're gonna win. Oh, I confess, my first move was not to run for president. I came here to the DC area and I met with various leaders. And I said, what are we going to do to help our fellow Americans understand it is not immigrants that are causing these problems? When you go to the factory in Michigan or Ohio, it is not wall-to-wall immigrants, it's wall-to-wall robot arms and machines. Same thing in the Amazon Fulfillment Center. And I'm going to rip just a little bit. I have some insight. Jeff Bezos believes there is one threat to Amazon, and that threat is the US government. Not coincidentally, HQ2, here in the DC metro area, he just glued a couple penthouses together and said, one was not enough. I need two, glue them together. No, bought the Washington Post with a pocket change in his sofa, unfortunately. This is what's at stake. They look around and they see, hey, we're paying zero in taxes right now. We kind of like that. You know, when the accountants come in at the end of the year and say, hey, Jeff, great news, zero taxes again. And then Jeff's like, great. And then what does Jeff do? Jeff goes into his vault, takes out bags of gold coins, gives them to each accountant, and then they go home and take a little Scrooge McDuck gold coin back. It's like their annual ritual. Virginia, is it their fault that they're paying zero in taxes? No! No, it is our fault, and we're gonna put a stop to it, am I right? Yeah! We are going to rewrite the rules of the 21st century economy so that they work for us, they work for you. And for the young people in particular here in this audience, if you have this sinking feeling that we have left you a god-awful mess, we have. It should be a source of national shame what a shambles we have left you. It's true. You look up and you're like, okay, how did college get so freaking expensive? It got 2.5 times more expensive than when I went, and it has not gotten 2.5 times better. Oh. It is a symptom of the disease where everything revolves around the almighty dollar in this country. And it's turning us all into these rats in a maze. We're like scrambling around trying to justify our own market value. And it is time to dispel this confusion in America that economic value and human value are the same things. They are not. And this is what threatens to turn us against each other and destroy us. Because in the era of artificial intelligence, it doesn't matter if the trucker was hardworking and conscientious or not. The robot truck is going to zoom past him all the same. And it's not just the truckers, it's the radiologists, it's the pharmacists, it's the lawyers. I did that job long enough to know that you can automate a lot of that job. Oh, you laugh. I mean, that's one reason when you were saying you go to law school. I mean, if you look into it, AI can edit contracts faster more efficiently, more inexpensively than the best human lawyer at this point. Oh, it's true. And so the meritocracy that you have been sold, young people in particular, is crumbling around you. And you sense this. You sense that you're being fed a bill of goods, that there's like this ladder up, but the ladder just gets more and more expensive, and you're not sure it's going to lead to what's been promised. This is what we have to fix, but we cannot do it without your help. As an adult, I am ashamed of what we have left you. We owe you better. I'm a parent, and I'm ashamed of the world we are leaving to our kids. This is why I'm running for president, Virginia. We have to let our fellow Americans know what the real problems are so that we can solve them. Donald Trump, getting him out of office will not make all of these problems go away. Artificial intelligence is still going to get faster and smarter. The robot trucks are going to come closer to the highways. Amazon will still be paying zero in taxes. We have to rewrite the rules. They work for us. They work for you, particularly the young people. Now, if you're here in this room, you know, I love thinking about this, the first time you heard it, that there's an Asian man running for president who wants to give everyone $1,000 a month. And I do. And best of all, with your help, I will. And the first time you heard it, it sounded like a gimmick or a joke, but this is not my idea, and it is not a new idea. Thomas Paine was for it at the founding of our country. Martin Luther King fought for it in the 60s, and it is what he was fighting for when he was killed in 1968. 1,000 economists endorsed it in the 60s. Passed the U.S. House of Representatives twice in 1971, under Nixon of all people. It came this close to being law. It's called the Family Assistance Plan. And I talked to someone in Democratic politics. The reason it passed the House and not the Senate was that Democrats in the Senate wanted an even higher income threshold. And someone who worked in Democratic politics at that time told me it was the biggest screw up that they'd ever made. And if they'd just taken that deal, every family in the United States would have been guaranteed a certain level of income from 1971 till today. Can you imagine if they had made that move? Then 11 years later, one state did pass a dividend where everyone in that state now gets between $1,000 and $2,000 a year, no questions asked. And what state is that? Oil! And how does Alaska pay for it? Oil! And what is the oil of the 21st century? Technology, AI, self-driving cars and trucks. A study just came out that said that our data is now worth more than oil. Where is all that data money going? Google, Amazon, Facebook, and the trillion-dollar tech companies that pay zero or near zero in taxes. And I am just like you. When you see that long, weird legal agreement with I agree or I consent at the bottom, we all just scroll through that thing and hit the button. I have a law degree and I'm not reading that shit. It's a pretend choice. You know what I mean? They're like pretending you made an active affirmative decision. You did not. What we have done is we have forfeited our data to the mega tech companies for these free, fantastic services, but the deal is going darker and darker on us. It is. You know, it seemed like too good to be true. Turns out it was too good to be true. Because now they are selling and reselling and repackaging our data over and over again, profiting to the tune of tens of billions of dollars, and we are seeing none of it. All that happens to us is that occasionally we get a message saying, hey, you might want to change your password. And then you're like, I have a feeling you're telling me this because something has gone wrong. And they're like, oh, no, not so bad, but probably change it. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, am I going to change it? Like, yeah, what's the worst that could happen? Like, maybe my data gets stolen. Like, it'll be okay. You know? But even worse, it's actually corroding our democracy, our sense of agency, our decision making. I have to say, it's embarrassing that Mark Zuckerberg is clinging to the like, oh, we can't decide what's true, what's not true, too hard. Oh. If Facebook was making money on it, they would figure it out. Do you agree? Freaking embarrassing. This freedom dividend that seems so fantastic initially, it's actually common sense and inevitable in a time of unprecedented economic change. Because after I'm your president and we pass this dividend, where will the money go in real life? How are you going to spend it? School loans, music, car repairs, how much of it would stay where you live and work and go to school? Most of it, not all of it. You would upgrade the Netflix, you'd get your own Netflix password, really. You'd stop passing around your friends to the point where some of you get locked out periodically. And then you're like, oh, this is irritating. I guess 8 of us are using it at the same time. So now post-freedom dividend, you will get your own. It will be a glorious day. So some of it's going to float up to the cloud, but most of it's going to go right into daycare and car repairs and Little League signups and student loans and textbooks and everything else. This is the trickle-up economy, Virginia, from you all, your people, your families, and your communities up. This is the opposite of the trickle-down garbage that's been weakening us for years. I love you too. And this is the vision, this is the mission. This is what we're going to make real in the days to come. My campaign just raised $10 million last quarter in increments of only $30 each, so my fans are almost as cheap as Bernie's. I love you for it. This is a very cheap, wholesome gang to join. We just got some gang members who are supporting Beto, too, and I appreciate the heck out of everyone who supported Beto. There are people who And when we put up that $10 million number, Virginia, there was a tremor in the political world. They said, what just happened? How the heck did Andrew Yang, who no one had ever heard of 8 months ago, just put up $10 million? And the way we did it is that the people of this country, you all, are a sleeping giant. You know? And this campaign is the smelling salts, Virginia. We're gonna wake the people up, one by one. And they're gonna look up and they're gonna say, wait a minute, we can do that? And we're in a democracy. We are the owners and shareholders of this country. If enough of us get together and say we want an economy that works for us in the 21st century, it will become reality like that. Then it's not just the fact that this money in our hands would make us healthier, mentally healthier, less stressed out, would improve our relationships, would improve our decision making, would improve our graduation rates, would decrease domestic violence, would decrease hospital visits. And it's not just all of those things. It's that our very goals as a society have to move forward as well. Right now, how are we measuring our economic and social progress? GDP. Yes, Yang Gang. And how many of you were excited about GDP when you woke up this morning? Only at a Yang Gang rally do we boo GDP, and I love it. Instead of GDP, we should be using your health, your debt load, your mental health and freedom from substance abuse, clean air and clean water, the ability to retire with dignity, with living in a country where I walk into a convenience store and I see a senior citizen working himself or herself to the bone because there is no other way to survive. That person should be someplace enjoying their golden years, and that should be a teenager in that convenience store working for beer money. We have to actually change the goals of our economy, and as your president, I will update this archaic, century-old GDP number that's riding us off a cliff, that's driving us off a cliff, and replace it with an American scorecard with the real measurements that I will present to you all and all of our fellow Americans every year at the State of the Union. I'm going to be the first president. I still use PowerPoint instead of like Prezi and like the rules. If you like the idea of a president presenting that information to you at the State of the Union every year,
Yes.
then you're definitely Yang Gang, because that's like definitely. I want to talk a little bit about how we win. Like, you come out tonight, we're going to have a fun rallying, I'm going to assign some things, but the way we win, the way I've succeeded in life, is by paying attention to the key variables that actually drive success. And tonight, that is actually not what I'm talking about, that is what the people in front of me were talking about. We need people here, if you're registered to vote, go ahead and yell if you're registered to vote. And if you're not, you should definitely pretend. But if you're registered to vote, we need you to make sure and sign a clipboard before you leave here tonight. Can you do that for me, Yang Yang? If we do that, then we'll have hundreds of signatures that will get us closer to this goal of 5,000. And you gotta say, the way it works is that the Secretary of State, they're kind of sticklers about this stuff. So what they do is they try and find reasons to reject signatures. So the requirement is 5,000, but if you want to be safe, you've got to put up 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 to 10,000, because then if they're jerks, then you're like, hey, we're still over 5,000, so shut up! So right now we're at around 3,000, and we need to clear 8, 9, 10,000, and we need your help to do so. Being an entrepreneur, being an operator, it's not about, frankly, the hype. It's about making sure you actually succeed at the ground level. It's one of the reasons why I'm proudest of this campaign, because of all the smoke, all of the incredible success. You know what gets me most excited? Is when I get to call someone and tell them that they are getting $1,000 a month for a year. He's like, call me. Let's call the entire country, am I right? So I want you to translate this vision into action. We need you to make sure and sign a petition, and then if you want to go the extra mile and be a superhero and a champ, we need you to go vote tomorrow, but then when you vote, bring a clipboard with you and just say, hey, you want to sign this petition to get Andrew Yang on the ballot here in Virginia, you get a few dozen people. We get enough of you to do that, I mean, we're going to be done like that. Because look at it, if 200 of you get 50, that's 10,000, we're done. You know? Do you want to help us finish this off, Virginia? And this is the same way it will be when I'm your president. One thing that I dislike about being president is it seems like a lot of it's about how you make people feel, which is cool. Feelings are good. But then it's also trying to get down to the roots of the problem and the guts and see if you can improve people's lives beyond the feeling in terms of their mental health and debt load and everything else. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. One of my dreams as your president is to be able to go and actually just get into the guts and solve the problems. I want to get out of the White House a lot. when you're president, and not in like this Air Force One caravan and do some kind of nonsense like hangar. I just want to like show up to things, help figure out problems, and then take some of the vast resources in our society and help solve those problems for us, the American people. That is the vision. Because the biggest lie in America today is that we don't have the money. It's such nonsense. We're at $21 trillion a year, the richest, most advanced economy in the history of the world. Do you all remember voting for the $4 trillion bailout of Wall Street? No! Do you remember anyone complaining, where are we going to get the money? No! But then when it's our turn, they're like, oh no, we're broke. Oh no, we are not broke. We're the opposite of broke. I put it this way, like we are broke. The country not broke. And I remember the reason why I quit my job to start a nonprofit. After the financial crisis, I saw what we did. We had a choice between the banks and our people who are losing their homes, and we chose the banks. And I said, that was the wrong choice. This time we're gonna choose our people. Am I right, Virginia? Yes, we're gonna build a trickle-up economy. We're gonna present a new way forward. And I wanna walk you through, because some of you are here, you're young, curious, you're like, ooh, this guy's interesting. Can he win? Oh, I can win. The number one criteria for Democrats in this primary is beating Donald Trump. Wall to wall. That there's one candidate that's drawing in libertarians, independents, as well as Democrats and progressives, and even disaffected Donald Trump voters. We can build a much broader coalition to beat Donald Trump in 2020. There was one poll that came out that said that I am one of only 2 candidates in the field that 10% or more of Donald Trump voters would support in the general election. And a friend of mine whose mom is an avid Fox watcher, she said that the only Democrat I would support is that Yang fellow because he does not seem to judge me at all. True. I just want to solve her problems. I just want to solve all of our problems. We can come together. I can help bring a fractured country together because people sense I just want to move us forward. It's not left. It's not right. It's forward. And that is where you are going to take the country in 2020, Virginia. We need your help. Are you going to help us? Get these things. Are you going to help make America think harder? Am I going to come right here back to Northern Virginia next year as your president? And make history together in this election in 2020. I love you all.
I hope that sometimes I won't. I feel good.
Put the money in our hands. 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 Can we afford it? Yes. Will it cause inflation? No. Is it awesome? Yes. Is anyone trying to make it happen? Yeah, that guy.